Warning: the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and/or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Welcome to Everythin Yet Nothin. Here's a hillbilly in eyeshadow who's looking fabulous and talking about anything yet something. Get ready to chew on a blade of sweet grass and talk about a variety of LGBTQ topics to the lifestyle of a gay hillbilly. Watch out, folks. These hills don't just got eyes. They got themselves a vodcast. Now, here's T-Roy.
Hey, and welcome to Everything Yet Nothing. Oh my God, we have a show for you. Actually, it's a 3-part. So I'm so into this individual that is coming on here. We met him a little bit ago, and he was all done up. Oh my God, I fell in love with him then because he's just this type of person that don't give a shit. He is out there to love everybody, and he don't give a shit if anybody loves him back. And yeah, we have that in common. So I think that everybody is going to appreciate this individual. He is very talented. He's very loving, very caring, and he's one of a kind. And I'm telling you, absolutely one of a kind. His favorite colors are red, black. So I did that for him, like I usually do for my guest. But like I was saying, we have a 3-part, and it's going to be about his life. It will be about him growing up as a kid, into his finding himself, into becoming who he has become then, and end up to who he is today. And I think it's going to be very interesting. And I love interesting things.
It's going to be magical.
Magical. I tell you, magic. Oh my God. Did you know that he did like talent for Disney? I mean, wow. Not everybody does that. You got to be very special and very good at what you do to get on Disney. I mean, hello, Disney. I mean, if nobody knows what Disney is, you got a problem. Okay. So, and I guarantee he rocked that shit because it absolutely blew the hell up whenever he was there. I never seen him, but I'm sure that if I did, oh my God, I would have fell in love with him then, because he is the type of person that he has that aura that everybody should love. And it's that aura that just attracts the right people and makes you feel good, and it gives you the warmth and the acceptance and just the pride within yourself and within others. Like you can look at somebody and tell, oh my God, they're really like proud. And this individual is very proud. I am proud of this individual because it's not easy to be who we are today. And with us being out there, it's helping more than just individuals. And I'm hearing my echo because my phone's on. I love to hear myself. Yes, I do.
Hi guys, thank you for joining in.
Oh, and this is my co-host and lovely husband,
Tricky Ricky,
Kevin.
Tommy and Shanae.
Von Shirley. Shanae. Oh, I didn't tell this individual this, but we have an audience, and anybody can come on this audience and ask questions or make comments. So I'm hoping that his people will come on and say, hey, or piss off, or, anything. I mean, anything at all. I don't care. It can be anything. I love anything. Good about it. So, I don't know how to sew. I love rambling.
Today,
we
had a wintry mix.
Can you believe that shit?
Sleet,
are you serious? Sleet, snow, and rain.
It's ridiculous.
And people don't understand that this weather is bipolar nowadays. I mean, come on now. Make up your damn mind, because my mind's already made up and I'm done with this shit. I'm ready for the warmth and laying out and going swimming in my G-strings and, having really cute straight men just look at me strange because my G-string is up my ass. But hey, gotta love it, right? No, not really. I would never do that because I'm so shy. Do you believe that? Me, shy? So,
What do you got going on this weekend?
oh my God, this weekend. Well, for the first time ever, we are going to Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and we are going to walk in the Diversity Pride parade. I don't know why I forgot that. And I get to walk with the bearded queens. Well, I call them ladies because they like to be called ladies. Well, honey, I am a lady even though I have a beard on. Like, if we don't like it, get over it. But anyways, come to Eureka and watch us like walk in the parade.
Diversity Weekend
will
is
be dressed
April
up.
2nd through the 4th, guys.
Yes. This Saturday is like the parade is at 2 and the gathering in the park is at noon. So we will be there around 10:30ish, 11. Oh, I love you,
I need my
Shanae.
glasses on.
I never judge someone by
their
their
outside. I accept most everyone's points of view as long as it doesn't harm others.
Of course. That's the way to be, hun.
Be happy. Exactly.
Bye, happy.
You know, Chanel, you know how he calls you Shanae and Shanae and all that?
Now.
The other day,
Shanae.
we have someone at work, her name's Renee. Or Renee, and I call her Renee all the time. Will you stop saying that?
You know,
Anyways,
everything has a
and
ring.
so
with
it
her.
makes me think of him and you every time I call her Renee. But I've been calling her Renee
Sorry,
since
babe.
she started a year ago.
But I'm in love with a woman, and her name's Shanae no, Nini.
Well, without further ado, let's bring out Ace of Hearts. What do you
Oh
think?
my God, Ace of Hearts. Here he is. Ooh. Oh my God, hey, what's up, baby?
So good to be here.
Oh my God, you're looking red and black tonight.
Hey, those are my colors. I know I love your eyeshadow.
Oh, thank you.
Thinking of me, think of me fondly.
Of course. I think about you all the time, hon.
Oh.
You know,
You're sounding
shower,
obsessed with him in this first.
I am
7
obsessed
minutes.
with him. Honey, I fell in love with him at that. What was it?
He's
The
hiding.
Mr. and Mrs. Continental
Yes. What he just said.
in Eureka.
He was like sitting behind me, and I gotta tell you, he was sitting behind me all dressed up and
Yeah, guys, I'm
iced
out of
out.
makeup this episode. The next 2, I'll be in it. I promise.
Yes. And oh my God, he looked fabulous. He was sitting behind me, and I was like, oh my God, I want to say hi so bad. He's sitting behind me. He had this like awesome hat on with this awesome coat. Where is that hat? Yes, there's the hat right there. Ooh. And where's that coat?
Oh,
There it is. Ooh, look at the fur on that. Oh, I love
leather.
the fur. What?
Chanel says, "Wow, Ace, you're a huge ball of energy. I love it." Chanel's
I have been my whole life. I think people feed off of me when they're around me, but
Oh,
nobody's ever drained me. I don't want to challenge anybody, though. I like my energy.
right?
Right? Nobody else can have it.
Right?
Share, yes, but they can't have it fully. I mean, come on.
Right? I'm like a generator. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I have a hot water bottle right here.
Oh.
I sweat my
I love
ass
it.
off so much. I'm like, damn, I'm in a sauna or some shit, and I'm just sleeping in bed. I'm like, hey. And then we have the bugs, and they're hot.
Hugs,
Right?
yes.
They are sweating all the time. They're hot all the time. Oh my God. That's hot in my bed.
Yeah, in the middle of winter, we do sleep with the heater cover vent off and covered with fan on because it stays hot. By the time we wake up in the morning, we're freezing because it's hot in bed.
Hi, Tammy. Hi, Richard.
Hello,
And of
people.
Shanae, Chanel, Shanini, Chanel.
No, Chanel, we never did get that golden coat.
No. I went
A golden coat?
Yes, and a pink one.
You're speaking my language, the gold.
Oh my god! I wish we had it downloaded. But
Up here, there's a store, and it's called the Red Garter, and half of it is adult, and the other half is theatrical costumes.
And this 75-year-old lady, mind you, Okay, I went in there and she picks up this dildo. 75-year-old lady. And she's like, hey, hon, here you go. Isn't this nice? I mean, really, it feels so real. And I'm like, you're like my freaking grandma and you're telling me all about dildo? Like, are you kidding me here? So then she goes to the lube section. She picks up this new lube they just got in, put it on her fingers, and she put some on mine. She's like, oh my God, doesn't that feel good? Could you just imagine using that? I'm like, no, I can't. Not right now. I mean, this is awkward. Like, really, Grandma?
I loved it.
Literally. I loved it, but I was so, like, not in place. Like,
oh, my goodness.
Like, so
hey, but the idea that she has all this pride to just be there and be in the moment, I love it.
Out there. Loved it. Yes, loved it.
She's amazing.
She had these glitter pink coats and gold coats.
Sequin. And why did you not get it?
Sequin. Because they're like over $100, hon.
Drag ain't cheap.
That's true.
Exactly. And so I did a runway, and I was like, girl, can I like do a runway in here with your clothes, coats, and everything? And she's like, oh yeah, honey, go right ahead. So I did, and he put it together like you were saying. It was gold, walking to the camera, and then I turned, and as I turned, it turned into the pink coat with a silver hat, walking away. It was freaking awesome. It's on my Facebook. Yeah.
Get it.
Yes. It was so much fun. I love that. So loved it.
Hey, Chipster.
Hi,
Speaking of the bearded ladies.
Oh, my God. Tati Tina right there. Hey, yo, Chipster. This is Ace of Hearts. And I've been talking about you to him like all night long for the last, 3 hours? He's probably tired about hearing about you, but he seems really excited to want to meet you. And, I was telling him about Eureka and what we're going to be doing and walking like a lady down the main street.
We're just talking about how me and T-Roy met in Eureka at the Continental pageant. So I love coming over to Eureka. If I didn't have an event on Saturday, I would be diversity.
He was there.
Huh?
He was there. He was sitting in my line. He was the very last one.
Oh, okay.
In front of you. Like, no, actually he was
like
third to the last.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, I was in all red and black that night.
Oh yeah, honey.
Boots and everything.
He's seen you.
Oh, he did.
We had a good conversation about your ass. I'm just saying. So, tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
So, I was born in Tallahassee, raised in Pensacola, Florida. Florida boy to the core. I was the most exfoliated child that came to Arkansas because of all that sand. And then we moved here because of Walmart World. That seems to be why everybody moved to Northwest Arkansas.
Right.
Growing up, I was always the kind of energetic, vocal kid, but super well behaved. My family raised me very well. I would say, I guess you could say I was raised as a Southern boy that knew respect and everything like that. And have always been a theater person. My grandparents were theater. My mom was in theater. My mom used to travel and do like Lily Tomlin skits just to get paid here and there to perform.
Oh, yeah.
And so I grew up in a very performance musical household. And I was the one that any opportunity they had Pensacola Children's Chorus, I was in that. Like, it didn't matter. I had a chance to perform, I was there.
I can see that.
But I grew up, I had my mom and dad till I was 3. My father was abusive, so they handled that situation very carefully. My family was very quick to get me counseling and help and a lot of things like that, which we can go into detail about later. But I, and so from there, my mom was a single mother. She made sure to take me on trips. My family was very protective, very, very protective. And I think that it benefited me in a lot of ways because it got me help that I needed early on. But when it came to coming out, I think it affected me a little bit more because not only was my dad abusive, but he was also a gay man, which the reason why they got a divorce was because my mom found magazines and found out that, he'd been hiding something. And so they were getting a divorce anyway. And then she found out that he was abusive towards me. And so when it came time years later for me to come out, I think my family didn't receive it as well. Because the idea of having somebody who was abusive in the household and was a gay man, and then you're like, my kid, is gay, I think that's why it was more hard for them to accept. Plus, of course, the traditional storyline of, well, it's gonna be a hard life for you. And I'm like we all say, do you think I would choose it knowing it was a hard life if it wasn't part of me and who I was?
Really? Mm-hmm.
I like how you say that, we all say, because that's one of my things. It's my go-to. They're like, why would you choose to be gay? I'm like, you think I would choose this? I mean, yeah, I like it at all, but I wouldn't choose to be hated against. I wouldn't choose to be called discriminatory names. I
wouldn't choose to have a chance to get murdered or killed or beaten or, I mean, like.
My mom's biggest fear was, because when I came out was during the Matthew Shepard era. So, of course, that just happened like a year or two before that. And then I came out and she's like, what's going to happen to you? Because I'm from a town of 500. Kansas, Oklahoma. It's right up 412. But yeah.
My family's from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of my family is. I think my grandfather was in the military, and so that's when the family really started moving around a lot. And then my mom started traveling a lot. And she was pretty hip in her young years. And then where they settled, and my mom settled in like Alabama and that kind of area, and then gravitated towards Florida. And that's where the beginning of my life was. And so I feel like part of me grew up being an entertainer and like tourist life. And so any chance to perform, like you walk down the street and perform, they'd be like, oh, how cute. And I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah. And then my mom would be like, you can take that to heart, but don't take it to your head, because the minute you take it to your head, you get a big head, and then people won't appreciate that. And I think that was something that always stuck with me. Is, as I mentioned to you earlier, in my career, I've always looked at, I want to be known for being good at what I do. I don't want people worshiping or groveling at my feet. Like I'd rather share an experience and talk together. And so, say, what was that?
Be equal.
Oh yes, very much so. I, like you said, I mean, being able to converse with people, being able to feel approachable. And I think that, my family was very much about, let's lay everything on the table and talk about it. And I think that's why growing up, my life has always been so transparent. And I've just been very talkative about things, sometimes a little too much.
You sound like me.
I get the foot kick from family members or partners when it's like, let's go, and then you're like, what? Oh my goodness, there's something on my foot, But I can talk about any, like you, T-Roy. I've never met a stranger. I mean, I was one of those kids too. We learned in school that smoking was bad, and so I walked to Lady in the Mall one time, and I was like, that stinks, and then just went on walking, and then we came back out, and she was still there, and I was like, if you keep smoking on that, it's gonna kill you, and just, so like being vocal and transparent has always kind of been my thing, but being real and upfront, I think, and genuine, has always been ingrained in me, which is why, even though I have this persona, I feel like it just magnifies the parts of me that I've now grown to kind of carry in my own life. It just kind of adds to the pizzazz. Absolutely. It's like Liberace. He was talented, and so was Elton John, but that pizzazz, honey, yes.
Yes. Yeah. They definitely had it. That's for sure.
Right? Are you T-Roy, you're like pizzazz, but then you're like eye glitter, like this is me, But and so then from growing up and living in Florida, and then I went to university and studied radio, television, video broadcasting, and I got a major in that, and minor in strategic communications. But I always had that dream, because I'm a Florida kid, of not going to Disney, but working for Disney. And so, as you mentioned earlier, I went to work for Disney on college program, and then I worked for them for 8 months seasonally as well. I got to hang out with all kinds of cool characters.
Right.
And it definitely had its dreaminess to it. But I think the hardest thing with Disney, because we love it as a company so much, and have dreams, is to not get lost in it,
Right,
or let
right.
it kind of eat you up. Because I mean, there's a lot of rumors out there, that are true. I mean, you have to be a certain waist size or a certain
Mhm.
weight or a certain
Oh yeah, yeah.
height or a certain look or symmetrical or and I think that there's a lot of people out there that look at it, and one side of it is, yes, we were lucky enough to portray certain characters at Disney, but on the other end of the scale is, what if I have to give up, or what kind of discipline do I have to create in my life to make that happen?
Right.
And I think that having to watch the way I ate and the way that I, carried myself, or not being able to have facial hair or anything like that.
Mhm.
But I think, as I mentioned to you earlier when we were talking before the show, is that it transformed me to, I wasn't one of those kids that really looked at eating as a means of control. But
Right.
after having a life where I had to control what I ate, or I had to be controlled and monitored on what I ate, kind of thing, when I left, I was like, I'm eating anything I want. And now I'm one of those people that's like, I may have gone too hardcore on that, because
You're right.
I'm like, when my pants are rolling off of my belly button and I'm having to, then you're like, okay, I don't care what size it is. If it has a stretch to it, it's gonna roll.
Just
You
pull
know?
them down a little bit. Pull them down a little bit, and they won't roll anymore.
Right? I'm sitting here duct taping my pants under my shirt.
Hey, if it
Just-
shows your butt crack,
Hey,
it's
duct
okay.
tape's the drag's best friend, right?
It's so true. I was telling somebody the other day, when you put that, when people put those cinchers on, the fat either goes one way or the other. And I tell people all the time, I think mine goes up, and I end up having, and they're not man boobs, they're orangutan titties. That's what I call them. I'm like, I'm like, we're just hanging out, But so I worked for Disney for almost, I guess, 16, 17 months. But I went seasonal with the company. I um I would drive down there to get my hours, and I wasn't making enough money I was only making enough to drive back home, so I wasn't making a living, and so it became one of those things that was really hard to maintain. And then, kind of getting pulled out of it, I realized, like, there were some good things and there were some crazy things. Are we getting any questions? Are they do they just pop
Yeah,
up?
we have one question, and
Sure.
that is from Tony, which is Chip's husband. And it is, hey guys, does Ace of Hearts do bearded drag like the Eureka bearded babes?
So I actually am more of a drag personality. I was a drag queen for about 6 years, which we'll get into more detail, the next show. But just to kind of preface it, I was a drag queen for, I guess you could say, 6 years. I took a good break in there, a good break.
Yeah.
But I guess I could say I've been at drag for 6 years. That's probably more logical about it. And I did the whole drag queen thing, and I enjoyed it when it first started, but I think it was part of my coming out story. And I'll go into more detail here in just a minute about that. But I jumped into drag kind of as a way to rebel, and I was like, it's a chance to perform and look at my feminization, and I loved it. It was great. But I think over time it kind of dwindled, and I felt like I was disrespecting the space in the community and taking up space in the community as a performer, when I really wasn't in love with drag anymore. And there's so many people who that's their heart, and that's their life, and they're so into it. And so to take that step back and allow the opportunity for other people to come in and perform, I think was a logical decision. And so when I took that break, I stepped back, and I was like, one thing I learned in drag is, if there's somebody wearing heels and they need to take them off because they're walking up hills and stuff, I will carry them. Believe me, walking in heels ain't fun. Which I've learned, walking in platform shoes, depending on the shoe, is also just as crazy. But so prefacing kind of what you asked about the bearded drag, I actually went to a drag show a friend was hosting, and they were kind of having trouble juggling hosting, music, everything like that. And they're like, hey, Ace, would you host? And I'm like, give me a jumpsuit, a wig, and put some makeup on me, and we'll see what happens. Let's make some magic. And so I kind of did more of like a boy glam. Like you take Elvis and Elton John, I guess you could say, and kind of mesh them together, or Elvis and Liberace and mesh them together. Add Adam Lambert in there somewhere with the makeup. That's kind of more along the. I know that's a lot of people having one baby, which is me. And so I consider myself a drag genie or a drag personality. And if you watch next week's episode or the following week after that, you'll kind of get to see a bit of my look, or you can go on social media and see a lot of my looks on there as well. Under Ace O Hearts. O Hearts is the last name, kind of like O'Hare, Eureka O'Hare, but it's O Hearts. But through that, I think I found an ability to feminize myself and kind of show my personality a little bit more. And that just added to me being kind of more transparent in the world. It's kind of like I can have this best of both worlds, like the whole Miley Cyrus kind of Hannah Montana thing, except for I'm not hiding it. Like people know that they're people will see me on the street like, hey, Ace, and so be it. But I would eventually, as I mentioned earlier, like to being able to bring a huge, big queer Liberace, Elton John persona to Branson and have my own show, people. So come on, let's get it started. I mean, I sing, I do magic, I ventriloquize, you name it. So let's make it happen. But to kind of take a step back, because I mentioned, going into my coming out story, because I think that's us gays love to talk about our coming out stories. But as I mentioned, I came from a very protective and a very conservative household. And I do still consider myself a very Christian gay man, but I was raised in the church in a sense that homosexuality was bad, and of course, coming from a father that was abusive, that was also gay, it was one of those things where it was like, oh, this is really bad. And so I maintain that life of like, hey, I could love a girl, let's see how it works. And I dated several girls, and it just came to the point that like, there was no point where it was like, I'm going to marry them, and this is going to be it for me. I was like, well, I could marry them and, make a life work. That was kind of where it was. I'm going to be besties, but, and so I dated a girl whose parents were missionaries, and I gave her shoes for Christmas, and her family gave me a Bible. And I think that was the moment where I was like, okay, so I obviously am not Christian enough. And I've been like it's been like pulling teeth. Plus my family at the time was, paying for my college. And I felt like the last thing I wanted to do, in a sense, it wasn't necessarily about them paying for my college, but I didn't want to blow up a life that, because that was their hope and dream. They were like, college degree, get a college degree, and then, figure things out. And I genuinely loved what I did in college, but I'm kind of focused more on, worry about coming out later. Let's figure this out. And so after that incident with a girlfriend, I was like, you know what? I've been fighting this my whole life. I know that I am. And so I kind of, under the radar, I was playing Truth or Dare with some friends one day, and I had dressed up in college in drag. Very, very terrible drag. Maybe next time I'll get you guys the picture and you guys can share it as I tell my story, because it's hideous. But they asked me to do it at university, and I was like, if I can make myself unrecognizable, which, believe me, I'm uglier than sin and unrecognizable. So I think I had accomplished my goal. But but I went on stage in the drag thing, and they were like, people were like, oh my gosh, haha, she's so funny. And I was living for it. Well, I went backstage and I started talking in my regular voice instead of feminizing my voice. And somebody was like, oh, is that who we think it is? And so then word spread like wildfire. And so then the next year they were like, you have to host. Well, the next year I happened to be at Disney, so I couldn't. But then my senior year I did. And so my friends had found out about that, but I only had one picture and I couldn't find it. And so they were like, we dare you, Truth or Dare, to do drag one more time. And I was like, okay, if I can find somebody. I'm like, oh, don't worry, we know somebody. You're in theater. And we had a person in the theater at the time that was a drag queen and had been drag queen for years. And so she put me into makeup, and I went out I contacted the local my first bar here, which was C4 over in Fayetteville, and I was like, hey, I'd love to just to try it one time. And they're like, actually, we have this beginner's night you can totally come out for and do it. And I was like, cool, let's get it over with, let's get it done. Well, I showed up and I won, and they're like, and next month's theme is, and I was like, I'm sorry, what? And they're like, oh, this is a 6-month long competition. Each month there's a new theme. And I was like, oh. And so I started doing it, and around that, while I was doing it, my grandfather had gotten sick, so I had to drop out. And so I continued to kind of do drag here and there, and people found out that I did. And me being a full entertainer as I was, people were like, hey, nudge, nudge, can you come and surprise somebody? So I dressed up as Wonder Woman and gave somebody a lap dance to I Need a Hero for, for their birthday, singing Grandma's wife was like, come embarrass my husband. And I was like, as long as I'm not disrespecting him and he will be a good sport about it, I will do it. And then I had somebody else hire me as a granny to come and embarrass the head coach of the Resurrects baseball team. Fun things here and there. And I did drag for charity events and things like that. And so just kind of continued it along that way. But I was and once I learned the dynamic, I was a better looking queen. I wouldn't say that I'm like the prettiest queen. I mean, I was the most fabulous, of course, but prettiest, I'm if I'm being honest with myself. But I think now, being able to be my authentic self through Ace, I feel like I am truly myself, and I do feel beautiful on the inside and outside. But
and it shows too.
Well, thank you so much.
That's what caught my eye the first time I ever met you.
And are there any more questions coming in? Because I don't want to just keep rambling or interrupting.
Nope. No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Cool. But kind of backtracking in my life as an entertainer, after I left Disney, I came back to finish college, and I what?
Shanae says,
Are you
a nail biter?
Me?
Yeah.
Not lately. I mean, they're pretty grown in. My cuticles hate me because I don't know why. But I usually paint my nails black. I don't have a black right now because I'm actually working on a short film with locally. And the character does not have black nails. So, but next week, when I'm in full glam, you best there'll be black nails. But a nail biter, not so much. I guess I mean I get nervous still when I go on stage, as any entertainer does, but I think it's just like one of those habits. Have I been chewing at my nails or something?
No.
Anyway, but I when I came back from Disney to finish university, I missed Disney so much that I started working on creating similar style experiences, but not necessarily exact characters, but similar style experiences, and kind of fueling my entertainment through that. And then I had that for about 5 years. And then I found out that there was a company in Conway, Arkansas that was selling out their costume shop. And I also my mom and I were my mom had designed costumes growing up with me, and we'd worked on costumes together. So I was like, this could be a new venture. And so I owned a costume shop here in Northwest Arkansas also for 3 years. So being an entertainer and costuming, and we had a lot of queens that came in and asked for things. And I was like, there is no plus size stuff that I can offer some of these, And so I just kind of started building even more costuming and working on headdresses and stuff.
Oh my God. Show what you showed me earlier.
Oh, so I'm doing a show tomorrow for April Fool's Day, but it's a comedy show. And so I just finished building this big headdress, which if you don't recognize it, it's King Julian from Madagascar. So I'm doing a whole the move it number and wow, you can really dance. And I have a big coconut bra kind of thing. And it's super fun. My go-to, of course, traditionally with a lot of my meet and greet stuff or performance stuff is very hearts based. But I still like to go crazy every now and then. I have a David Bowie wig over there from Goblin King, and
Oh my God, you gotta show
Oh my
Chip
gosh.
what
oh,
I said he would like. Chip, check it. You're gonna love it.
here's my Goblin King wig.
Love it.
Yeah, gotta pull it up a little bit more. My outfit's here somewhere. Here it is. Here's it's the my Goblin King wedding outfit that I built. So there's the wedding outfit.
Oh, it's
Love
beautiful.
it.
Chip says he loves it.
Oh, you got those boobs handy?
Which ones?
The tits.
You know how I do that,
goodness gracious. So
I watched
So,
The Labyrinth, and
as a
David
side
Bowie's
gig,
package
I do have a company that I work with that acquires like breastplates and stuff, so I can help the drag performers and stuff.
Look
So,
at that tag team.
I have a pair of those, which actually one of my friends who used to be a drag performer on Bourbon Street is getting back into drag, and so I'm helping her kind of get back to living the drag life a little bit. Oh, here's my Elton
That's the
John
one that was
dress.
with you, right?
Say what?
Is that the one that was with you?
That is the one that was with me when you guys met me. Yeah. And then also kind of prefacing what I'm doing this summer is I'm the national showman for the state of Arkansas. And I'm currently going to be the national showman for the United States, which I'm going to win. It's going to happen. We're putting this out into the universe. Let's see, Labyrinth is my favorite movie. I have the puppets. Oh, Wicked! How cool is that? Yes, I love the puppets, especially the ones that like come apart and everything. I want them. No, I need them. Oh, the breastplate.
Yeah.
He just got him a pair.
He did.
Get it? Hey, they're life changing. As a queen, I wasn't ever in the means to buy them because breastplates were kind of coming into the mainstream where they were like really expensive to acquire. Jealous of the breastplate. Well, I can tell you right now, if I push up just high enough, I don't even need to wear the breastplate. I tell people the only difference between me and a traditional chest is that mine is the German style because it's hairy.
I love it. I'm gonna start telling people that.
Say what?
Yeah, so 20 years ago, I played around in drag at Ron's in Fayetteville.
Okay.
And I lived in an apartment with 5 other drag queens. So I had 4 drag mamas and then a drag sister because she was coming up too. And yeah, some duct tape. And all I needed was a little bit of stuff, just to fill out the bra because you duct taping the cleavage up. So I had some beautiful cleavage. But I got man boobs anyway.
I tell people I have worked many years on these.
Right? One of a kind.
Put a lot of work into them. Now I'm trying to work to get them off.
Right?
Yeah.
I will happily donate for a breastplate. Anybody looking?
For real. I got some too. I'll donate.
But yeah, my collection's slowly growing, but I think in my heart, Elvis and Adam Lambert, and Lil Barachi, of course, are kind of my inspirations for performing. And the goal is to eventually be one of the biggest gay, flamboyant personalities that I can be in this era, And one of the things I think that kind of blew my mind, I have a dear friend named Ann Howe. She's a drag performer over in Joplin. And what was it say? I'm a C cup.
It says I'm a C cup, but damn, they look better, so much better than mine.
I love it.
Now, Shanae, nay.
Hey. But I was talking to her, because I've always had the phrase, I feel like I grew up in the wrong decade. And one thing that was shared with me that I thought was really cool, because we were both kind of talking about that, because she's very much in like old Hollywood and things like that. And we came to the conclusion that it wasn't that we were born in the wrong decade. We were born in the right decade because we can carry on all the history of the previous decades to keep it alive.
There you go.
So that's kind of, keeping it alive and fresh and people not forgetting it. And I think that's become my new positive outlook is like, it's not a long decade. It's like, let's educate people. Let's get
Yeah.
going with this, you know.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, it's great to be a performer as we are, but I also think that the most important part behind having a name or a persona is that we're also using it as a platform for advocacy.
Yes.
And I think that's important to discuss because we can kind of
Very.
timestamp this.
Yeah.
But I'm really feeling for the people down in Florida right now with the Don't Say Gay bill. So say gay everywhere, say trans everywhere, you know. And you know, Black Lives Matter, everything. But ultimately, that Don't Say Gay bill, I think, is very, very heartbreaking for our community. In the sense of yes, it is mainly an education system and mainly, you know, targeted toward youth. But I think that as people are coming to their own, no matter what age they are, they need to be able to have that chance to figure out who they are. I mean, the thing is people figuring out who they are doesn't put any more on other people unless they allow it to.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just because I am finally telling you who I am inside doesn't mean that I changed the rest of who I am, what you know.
Right.
You just know a little more about me.
Right.
You know?
And you should feel special that I let you in, you know?
Exactly.
I think that's a huge conversation that, you know, most of the people, unless it's not like I'm bringing you into that part of my life, I'm letting you know about that part of my life, but it doesn't mean that it changes who I am. And I think that that's the most important thing that I carry with me is having ethics and morals and, you know, always learning. There's many times that I'm like, I've fallen short. I made a dumb decision, but I'm going to learn from it and grow from it. And that's what makes us human.
That's right.
But are there any other questions coming in? Or are we still
No, Tony made a statement saying that he loved Ron's place. He did a lot of dancing there by the tracks.
The what?
Tony said, I loved Ron's place. I did a lot of dancing there by the tracks.
Oh, yeah. Very cool.
Is it still there?
I doubt it. That was 20 years ago.
Oh.
Don't say straight, because I'm
I think we should start saying don't say straight, because I'm a wacko.
Wow.
Well, you know, I think the thing is that it makes it more in the spotlight when they try to cut things off, then it makes people want to say it more, you know? Yeah. And instead of being like, hey, you go live your life, I'll live mine. If our paths cross and there's some things that we need to work out or educate each other, then let's do that. But I feel like the minute that you're putting a focus on something, then it draws more light to it. It's like somebody that's talking bad about you. You're like, thank you so much for talking about me. I'm glad that I'm part of your conversation, you know?
Right.
And I think that, you know, there's a lot of other bills that are going into pass. Because I was going to go into teaching at one point as well. I looked at that route. But there's a lot of things going on in the education system in several states right now that are really affecting how teachers are able to teach. I mean, they went to school for 4 or 5 years, you know. Some of them are constantly getting educated in other programs and things. And we're sitting here looking at them with a magnifying glass like, you know, maybe we should evaluate you more. And it's like, yes, there's some teachers that genuinely, you know, are just there to get a paycheck. But traditionally, most of them, especially the ones that have, you know, are lasting it out this long, you know, are really passionate about it.
Yeah.
And, hello, Ted.
Hi, Boo Ted. Ted is
Ted's the owner of WLFE-DB.com, the radio station that we go through.
Oh, cool. Very neat. Hi, Ted.
Hi, Bill.
He's a big old bear.
Yeah, he's a big old bear.
But I think that that's kind of where Ace came from as we kind of, you know, get ready to move into this other episode where you really kind of get to know the persona and the life that I, you know, live as Ace and everything. But I mean, the idea of sexuality, there is sexuality in different people's drag, but in mine, the sexualization of drag is not part of who I am. So that's where the Ace comes from for kind of asexual. And then the idea is that I feel like I've been put on this earth to love people for who they are, knowing that we all have flaws. And that my form of entertainment is to give people escape from the rough world that we live in and be able to enjoy yourself and escape. And that's kind of where the hearts part comes from. And so my name really, truly is who I am as a genuine person. I mean, of course, I have faults and I have, you know, issues and things, but it's for me to work through, not for me to put on you to have to deal with as well. And so I think that as people move forward to be a face in this industry. And especially, your podcast, I've gotten to listen to several of the episodes as I've gotten to go through it. And I think what you guys are doing here is a fantastic and wonderful thing, because I think that we don't educate ourselves if we don't have conversation.
Right.
And of course, I even applaud the people that have come before me to get on here to be vulnerable and to share their stories, because, I mean, I've learned some valuable information and I've been educated before I even came on here about things, and how to, how people have lived their lives. Because I think, there's a lot of times where we put things out in the world and we're like, I'm so shy to share this because I think I'm the only one. And then you start to realize, like, I'm not the only one. Somebody else experienced it different. Or, just an example is like whenever you're like, oh my gosh, my partner does this and I absolutely hate it. And then you see somebody else that's like, I can't believe my partner does this. And you're like, oh, you too, And so it's that moment where it's like the whole idea of like, you're not alone. Like, and of course, I think that one thing that's really cool, because I know you mentioned that there's people from all over the world that listen to this, but I think that it's kind of cool for those people to be able to listen and be like, oh, this is going on in my country too.
Yeah, exactly.
And I also, of course, while we're on this live as well, I really want to give a shout out to Ukraine. We love you. We are here for you guys. We understand maybe what we can see that's going on in your country, but we truly hope that it works out for the best for you guys.
Absolutely. Yes.
Ukraine, I think this is one of the most publicized wars because of social media now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are going on TikTok live, and you can feel like you're there. And
I must say, I have 2 and 3 pieces that have come from creators in Ukraine, and their art is incredible with what they can do to build costuming. I have a full set of big red like wings that I wear that were made by artists over there that I found on Etsy, and I love them to death. And that's the thing to kind of recognize too. Art is so special all over the world and what they contribute. And definitely kind of the one thing that's nice though is being able to sew your own costumes too and enjoy it, because I've got a whole wall of that you guys can't see of like fabrics and everything that go into this. And of course, being a performer that performs all the time, sometimes you have to let somebody else make things for you, which is very hard for me because I love making pieces they can have pride in and be proud of. And of course, I also mentioned, my name Ace as well. Ace from Kiss is like a huge influence just in my life growing up. My mom's first concert in college was Kiss, and my first concert to ever go see, and my mom took me, was Kiss was Kiss as well. And so I actually have a full Kiss inspired outfit that I wear that's got like metal looking hearts and stuff all over it.
Wow.
But one thing too to kind of mention, because I really want to preface this, is like, in growing with our families, and we kind of discussed this even the two of us before this, but I think that's one thing we have to think about is sometimes your family will accept you, but sometimes we have to grow with our families, or we have to give other people a chance to retain things and have time to themselves to grow as a human being and realize that, again, like we're the same person that they knew all along, or those kind of things. And I really want to put out there that, my mom and I are in a great place now. I mean, we really are. And I think that it was one of those things that to separate the person from the sexuality, from like how we do, gender and sexuality is different, and all that kind of stuff. I think it's important to look at that as a piece of somebody, but it's just like any relationship, even a significant other. You can't love everything about them. There's some things that you're like, oh no, can't happen, but you're like, but I'll put up with it because I love you. But sometimes I just want to knock you out, They just want to pull the Rapunzel from Tangled and just over the head with a pan. But my mother and I have grown a lot, and there's certain things that you can't expect somebody to accept about you, because at the end of the day, the one person that needs to love you is yourself.
Yes.
And I think that there's a level of confident love versus arrogant love, and for me, that's been a journey. I wouldn't say that I'm an arrogant person at all, because I'm not. I've worked so much in my life to just be thankful for what I have and the opportunities I've gotten. But I feel like there are moments in our lives where we're like, look at me, you know, and then you have to remind yourself like, hey, but how did I get here?
Right.
Right.
And really remember those people. Of course, there's people that are like, remember me when you get famous. And I'm like, you may have to remind me, but I'll remember you, you know? It's not one of those things that it's like I'm intentionally forgetting you, but we have so much, especially since COVID.
Yeah.
There's so much going on in our lives
Yeah.
that people are having to rebuild. I don't know if you guys heard about the tornado that went through Springdale over here, but it
No.
wiped out so many buildings in
Really?
Springdale. And people
Oh,
are having,
yeah.
I mean, in a night, they're having
sister
to
was at
rebuild their
work
whole
when that
lives. What was
Yeah.
that?
My sister was at work when that happened.
Oh my goodness, yes. And they're having to in an instant, in one night, people are having to rebuild their whole lives. And so I think that, you know, what I've tried to train myself to do is if something happens, take a step back and be like, okay, why are they reacting like this? Or how are they what or what made them this way? Or, you know, what's happened? Because we can't read people. Like as much as I'm an entertainer and I read people for a living,
Right.
there's so much that we don't know.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, it's important for us to start having conversations because us having conversations creates more conversation.
It does, and it opens others' eyes and their minds, and you know, we're teaching them, although it doesn't seem like it, you know.
Right.
And that's a good part. Chipster says, "Love yourself," and Ted said, "Accept yourself first."
Yes.
So I've said often, if we could take the sex out of homosexual, then maybe people wouldn't be so offended by it. But we're not the ones walking around with little clones saying that we had sex. The straight people are,
Right.
because they have the children that have proven that they have sex. So why can't people just forget about what we do in the bedroom? You know?
Right. But there's so much more to our humanity as homosexuals than being in a bedroom. We do so much. There's so many organizations that are queer organizations that do so much more work out in the streets in the community and benefiting than what happens in the bedroom.
Well, yeah, and you know, we help others, not just LGBT, but we help those that need help.
Right.
You know, and with us explaining to others, that's just opening up a bigger world that hasn't been there, that we're putting there.
Right.
And so no matter if it's us or somebody like us, we're still doing that. Right. And that's what the world needs, I feel.
And I think the only way for people to get used to something is to see it more.
Yes.
I think that's so important because the thing is it's like giving people a space to do something doesn't mean that you support it. But but it does allow other people to see it for what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It really is.
You know, even if they don't accept it, they don't have to be dicks about it or assholes. You know, they could just be all like what you just said. You know, they can show niceness more than dogging us, judging us, putting us down, you know, throwing words that doesn't make any sense.
It's not like we're a new phenomenon.
Yeah.
We've always been here. And the thing is it's one of those things that, again, the more you push against it, then the more people are going to be like, whoa, 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 you know? Like we've dealt with this for a long time.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, one of the biggest things right now, you know, is the trans community and the fact that they're really fighting to be visible and accepted. And I think one of the biggest things that we can do is I can say, you know, I don't know what it's like, but I'm going to be there at the forefront to stand and guard you so that you can advocate, you know?
Exactly.
And hey, if you want me to stand behind you and represent that way too, let me do it.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm here. What can I do?
Yeah.
I think that's the first question you got to ask, you know? And then from there, allow them to tell you. Because at least they know that somebody's got their back. Because many of them are strong human beings. They really are. But there's plenty of strong human beings that if they don't have warriors, there's a point where they go down and somebody else needs to be there to advocate. And the thing is it's people look at pride as a sense of throwing it in people's face. And it's like, to me, that's not what it is.
No.
Now, yes, there are people in any community, not just the queer community, but any community that do go over the top, that can set that bar really high.
Yeah.
But for us as queer people, it's, you know, what are you comfortable with? How far can you go? I'm a personal big believer in even quiet advocacy, donating the money and letting people that have the experience and have the knowledge take that and move it forward.
Right.
And I think that that's one thing that people forget is they're like, why aren't these people standing up? And it's like, maybe what they can contribute is money. That's their way of supporting.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have that voice. Maybe they don't have the boots on the ground, you know? And so us as a community finding ways to be like, this is what I can do, and verbalizing it or passing it along and being like, take it and move it a step further. And that's in any community. I mean, even with us, you know, supporting Black Lives Matter, even with us supporting trans lives, because as we know, you know, the first big, you know, Pride and everything was a riot, a huge riot, because they'd had enough. And at the forefront of it was our trans, you know, sisters. And even thinking of our trans brothers as well that are out there, you know, it's not easy to go through. And so instead of us being the people that are like, well, you can do this, it's like, tell me what I can do. Tell me where I can be better. Sure, I'm a human being. I can't be spread super thin. I can only do so much. And that's where other people have to step back and be like, I can't put too much on them because they are human. And so I hope I'm not talking too much.
No, you're good. You're good.
But I think that at the forefront of a persona, of Ace, of a radio station, of a TV show, there has to be representation that's like, yes, I am this, but outside of this, this is who I am, which is why I was really thankful that you allowed me to come on here outside of makeup to really be able to be like, this is me, you know, and in makeup is also me, but that transparency is what's going to get us farther in this world. Having these conversations, being able to be blunt and honest. Sure, there's many things that we've mentioned on here. You know, there's trauma that gets in the way of that kind of thing. There's things we got to work on. But how do we work through that trauma? Sometimes it's having conversations. Sometimes it's a personal thing. But I think that that's the only way is to bring it to light. And my biggest thing is with prides. Last year, I think I did 5-6 prides, you know, and this year I've got other ones that are like, can you come out? And I'm like, I really want to, but if it's during this time, I can't. But in my heart, I'm like, how can I clone myself? You know, I only have one life to live, and we're gonna have to make multiple of it. So, you know,
well, it is time for commercial, so we're gonna do a short commercial break, and then we'll do that.
Yes, if you need to go to the restroom or grab a drink, go right ahead.
I'm gonna run and get something to drink. How long is it?
It's about 3 minutes.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna run.
All right.
Oh,
Hey, and welcome back to Everything Yet Nothing. We are speaking with Ace O Hots. So, I brought my babies in here because
Oh my goodness, I got mine
Ace
too.
was wanting to see them. Scrawny. This is Rowdy.
Hi, Rowdy. This is Taco.
Oh, Taco.
Aww.
I keep telling people that I got him because I was hoping that one day I would get a discount at Taco Bell. But half the kids aren't 90s kids anymore, so they just look at me like this.
Right.
So.
And this is Atticus.
Hi, Atticus.
Mm.
Oh my goodness, so cute.
Oh. And this is Odin.
Oh. Aw.
Look, you got a friend right there, see?
Yeah, how cute.
Like, I don't know, Dad. I don't want to be on here. Okay, son.
Lay down, sweetie. Lay down. Good boy. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Positive reinforcement with the dog. Like, you're so sweet. Yeah, lay down, baby. Lay down. So, what do we want to talk about?
So,
Go to the comments.
we are going to read some comments. All right, we have
Ted says homosexuals, bisexuality, and here I'll just pop it up.
bisexuality back in ancient times were considered special. Even gods, Native Americans consider us two spirits. It's amazing how our culture goes backwards at
I
times.
love two spirits. Yes.
And it does. It really does. Like
Mhm.
you said earlier, we've been here forever. And
Yeah.
we have. Like, we were here. We just weren't out, you know?
Right.
And really, back in the days of kings and queens and knights and all that, there was no labels.
Right.
There was very few labels of sexuality.
Well, I mean, think about it. We wore the heels and the wigs back in the day.
Yeah. They did to,
And they
to
never
cover
said
up their
gay.
scurvy and all their other diseases and stuff.
Right?
So, yeah.
I mean, I'm all about some powdered wigs and some square toe shoes and some tights. And I mean, technically, I grew up going. We didn't do family trips to like Disney World or anything like that. Ours was actually more. We went to historic parks and stuff. So I tell people all the time, I'm like, I just upscaled it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Chanel says, I have taken in so many kids over the years because the families disowned them after they found out their child was gay or lesbian. And yeah, Chanel. So used to. But yeah, I mean, there has been many kids, and it's so sad that parents, I mean, give me a break. Parents, really?
I love
Grow the hell up, because you need to get over yourself. Your kids are there because you had them. And if you're not going to take care of them, let somebody else take care of them. And don't be dicks, asses, or whatever to them, because they don't deserve that. You deserve to be treated like that. They don't.
Yes,
to take an older quote, you know, when they talk about couples and they're like, if you don't love me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. I think that is the same thing with any kind of relationship, even with parents. If you don't love me at my worst and my barest, then you don't deserve me at my best and my true authentic self.
Exactly.
Fine. You know?
Exactly. And Chanel says human beings are dumbasses. And yes, I agree. Some human beings are dumbasses.
Some people can be less educated on topics than
And that's
others
what
and
it
try to
is.
make assumptions.
You know, that's where the dumb comes in. Sorry.
That's an old commercial. Guess you need a new one.
Well, then make it, Ted. Make it. Mr. Jeffrey says, first drag queen was George Washington, our first president. Wigs and heel shoes. And yeah, honey, it was.
Hey, and riding a horse.
Yeah.
Yay or nay?
Who don't like the Who doesn't like riding a stallion?
Then you've got.
I mean, I love riding a stallion myself. I mean,
Oh goodness. The
So that makes me think of something funny today that happened at work.
Mhm.
I work in an undisclosed location, but they shot mayonnaise all over the place, and they're like, "It shot everywhere." And one of our employees works at a school teaching sex ed half the day, and then comes to work the rest of half the day. And he's like, and me and another manager, we were giggling, and he's like, "Wow, the giggling never stops, no matter what job I'm at." I'm like, "Yeah, but the difference in your other job and this job is you're teaching kids about sex." And they're like, sex. I said, "At this job, you have grown ass people don't have anything to do with sex, and they turn it into something sexual, and then he's like, that's so true."
It is.
I don't know why that just popped in my head. Little bits of random Kevin for you.
So it has already been an hour,
Uh-huh.
but we can go further. We're gonna actually do it until 10:30 if you're cool with that.
Oh, I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Okay. So
as long as the listeners really want to continue listening, I'm all about having cool conversations.
as they love listening, or they won't be here. Yes, they love listening. I mean, I talk all the time. Usually, ask him. Like
you and me both. That's where we do trouble.
No. He's like, "Babe, it's the end of the show. It takes me like 10 minutes to."
It's the end of the show, y'all.
It's the end of the show. Blah, 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 blah.
He even does the Midwestern goodbyes to the people in the podcast world.
Oh, good.
You know, there's nothing longer than a Midwestern goodbye.
Tony says, "Just viewed your Facebook page, Ace, and I'm wondering, when you host, do you think at least some patrons think you're a drag king?"
I have gotten a lot of people to do that, and that's kind of why I call myself the Genie of drag, because I think that when I went into locations, some people saw me for face value on Facebook, you know, and you know, hired me in, and they were like, "Oh wait, you're not a king," and I'm like, "Well, no, not really," you know, and it changed this whole like dynamic of how they, you know, would treat me, or the fact that they were like, "Wait, you're a biological male, you know, that's doing this," and not looking at it necessarily for the art. And so for me, I was like, well, if I tell them I'm a drag genie, it takes the gender out of it all together. And so in persona, I'm very non-binary with kind of how I work with the different things that I wear and stuff. A lot of them tend to be, I guess more masculine leaning. But one thing I had mentioned to T-Roy earlier is that I felt like I kind of wanted to play with that masculine and feminine a lot, because like a lot of people see, you know, reds and blacks, and, you know, they've put in this box of what a masculine color is.
Right.
And then you take and you glamorify it, and then it becomes what the world would consider more feminine, or in my case, I prefer to call it just more flamboyant.
Yeah.
But I do think that I have gotten a lot of confusion, but I'm very quick to be straightforward and educate people and be like, I am not what is considered a full drag king. I also have been referred to as more of a drag personality. And because I don't want to take those platforms or those titles away from people who, you know, it is their platform, it is what they stand for. And I have so many very, very dear friends that are drag kings that have really come into the, you know, industry. And, you know, there's that constant battle of like, you know, who gets more recognition, queens, kings, you know, and kings are still kind of breaking through. I think that the biggest thing is that there are kings that are really good, and it's great. And then there are other ones that are working on themselves, and they're like, why am I not getting attention? Right. And for me, I think that the thing is it's not that you're not good. It's that the general public is not yet educated to have an understanding of that style of art. There are a lot of places that I go to that I'm very quick to educate people up front of who I am, and so it's a lot better received.
Don't let anyone make you a label. Be more than a category.
Correct. And I think that there's also a difference in a chosen label and people labeling you. And I think that for me, being a drag genie, I get so many people that are like, I've never heard of that. And I'm like, because it hasn't existed before, but it does now because I just spoke it into being,
Right.
But I think that that the Kings industry, one thing that one of my favorite drag kings of ever, Landon Sider, says is that drag kings can reign just as fierce as queens. And I think that is super, I think that's super true. I think that you should never doubt the strength, the talent, or the abilities of anybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even when they prove it to you, because people can grow.
Yeah, they can.
People
can grow. People can change.
Right. There's been many times that, we spend our whole lives adapting, but the problem is that some people, you can choose not to adapt to something, but that doesn't mean that other people have to do the same.
Yeah.
And sometimes it does. Some people can't change automatically; they have to adapt. When you've known somebody a certain way in part of their life, and then they're like, "That's not who I was at all.
Right.
This is my authentic self," and you're like, "Thank you for sharing this with me. I'm so glad." Let's see. I want to be a drag mama. That is a possibility. I have some great friends. One of my drag daughters is a diva, which is a over feminized female presenting in drag. We have some fierce ones up here. One of them just did Miss Diamond US of A Diva, and she just won this last weekend.
Nice.
Super incredible. My drag daughter went and competed in that. And so there is a place for drag mothers and stuff out there, but I don't want to have to wear my. Hey, you can define your own lines of what a drag mother is. I mean, there's all kinds of different things. I prefer to look at it as, there's a lot of people that are like, some people are too young in the industry to have drag families.
Yeah.
But for me, the way I see it isn't there is, of course, the thing that was in the drag community a lot, that was, drag mothers were those that took newcomers under their wing and developed them.
Yeah.
But some people just need a chosen family to feel like they exist and that they're appreciated.
Right.
And so sometimes drag families for younger performers, what did you say? Bearded drag is suddenly a thing. Have you done drag with your beard? I actually have not presented as a drag queen with my beard. I have some very dear friends that are in the drag community that are bearded queens. And as I say every show, and I have my audience repeat back to me, I am a firm believer that all drag is valid, because as I see it, it is an art form. And therefore how you choose to express yourself is your own way. So bearded drag, I still see them as queens. If that's how they want me to present them, that's how they want me to talk to them. One thing I think that's true, and yes, some people think it's more of a chore, but I'm always a big advocate of walking up and being like, how do you prefer to be referred to? Or how do you, what are your pronouns? What are, really getting to know that person, because I think once people realize that you value who they are, then they begin to respect and value who you are on a similar plane. And so this bearded drag thing, I think it's incredible. In fact, one of my friends is currently on the road to Miss Bearded Empress in Orlando to compete this weekend. And she's so full of talent. She's given so much of her life to the drag community. And for a long time, she didn't do the bearded thing, and she felt more comfortable with it. And she's doing so well in the industry for bearded drag. There was also a bearded drag queen on Queen of the Universe this last season with a gorgeous voice. And I think that bearded drag, like I said, I know we have some of the viewers that watch that are bearded drag queens, but I think they're just as pretty as any queen out there, They just tend to wear more hair on their head.
Right.
And, they just had to spread the hair out, You
see Queens of the Universe? They had a bearded queen on there.
Yes. Is 70-plus-year-old too old to go out in public as a bearded drag queen? Never. You were never too old to truly be able to authentically be yourself.
No.
So no, not at all. In fact, let them see that beard, glitter that thing up,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have to be able to open your mind to be able to let people into your heart and accept them. And I actually, moving through my drag family, that's one of the biggest things that I love about my drag family. I have a diva in my drag family. I have a drag king in my drag family. I have a drag queen in my drag family. And diversifying, to me, my drag family, even though it's more of a mentor style thing, I still treat them like that because I'll be there for them as much as I can.
Right.
With being a busy performer, being able to travel and stuff, it's as hard. But when I can be there in more than just drag, I think that's what makes an authentic family. And in fact, that bearded queen I was talking about earlier, she has an incredible drag family, and they are really some of her closest friends as well. But
Awesome.
That's one thing that I really liked about the drag community is the family style of it.
glitter up that beard and sissy that walk. It's funny. I actually have some friends recently, which again, it's kind of looking at the perspective of a show, but a lot of people have been like, well, you should just go on there and advocate for your drag on RuPaul's Drag Race. And to me, I think there are several openings that need to happen for other platforms before what I'm doing is something that needs to be seen on RuPaul's Drag Race. I think it's lovely that they've brought, allowed trans girls to be able to compete. I think that maybe opening a window to have bearded queens or to have, have kings of all things, drag kings, be able to do that. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, create a different show and give a platform. If you don't want it on RuPaul's Drag Race, Landon Sider, I've heard if you can create a drag show, just somebody that really has an understanding for the art. And that's the thing is that RuPaul tends to have the focus and understand the drag queen side of things. So where is somebody that we can get that can advocate for the king side of things, that has followed that journey, has fought that battle, has been there, that can have that presence to come on there. And Landon Sider is a perfect example. He's fought so hard for this community. He's expanded the art form for what a drag king can be. And some kings have one shtick that they bring out, and then other ones have many layers, and they're a chameleon. And I think that that's what makes the art form of drag so fascinating. When I found drag, it changed my life because I was one of those people that learned how to unicycle, learned a bit how to juggle, learned how to stilt walk, learned how to, wear headdresses, learned how to do all those things. And then all of a sudden I found drag and it was like, oh, it can all be in one place.
Right.
Yes. And so it just kind of like grew from there. Rosie O'Donnell, what was that about?
I think it was the
host for a drag king show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. There's also Adam All, who I follow, that's over in the UK, I believe. That would be a perfect person. There's a drag TV show on TV, or I think it's out of Canada, but it's called Call Me Mother. And it does have a diverse cast on there. They take drag queens and they're the judges, but they each have their own house of like drag performers that they've selected.
Oh, wow.
A lot of performers come in, they audition, they pull them into the houses. The ones that are left, at the end of it, end up going home, and then they have the drag houses. And each week, the house that's the lowest, that drag mother has to let one of the children go out of the drag family, and it's super cool. But I absolutely love it. Say what?
What platform is that on? Where can we watch it?
Out TV, I think. I believe it's Out TV. And there's a lot of Canadian shows on there, but it's been really fascinating. There's another one, and I cannot think of the name of it right now, or off the tip of my tongue to save my life. But that one's really cool because it takes drag performers, and they do, which I would love to do one of these one day. They do one of those like talking about their life, and they do this dramatic reading, and they sing a song, and they do that. Yeah. And it's like this one-man show kind of thing.
Right.
Or one-woman show. And I don't remember what the name of the TV show was, but I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And I was like, I want to do one of those eventually. But I would love to either way be able to one day make it where there are so many more opportunities as we continue to expand, because it's great that they have it in Canada. Now let's get one here.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, RuPaul's expanding to all these different countries and things like that. Let's expand these other opportunities in different countries.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he wants me to go to Arkansas.
Yeah.
16th.
Yeah, April 16th, we have a drag fundraiser for a new nonprofit starting up called Queer NWA that supports queer businesses as well as queer artists.
Where's that at?
It is at the Fayetteville Town Center. And it will be that evening. You can either follow on my social media, Instagram or Facebook. I share on both. Or you can go to the Queer NWA Instagram or Facebook page. I suggest Instagram because they update their story all day. And you can see they share all kinds of vendors, queer vendors, even ones that may not be at this show. And it would be really cool to even have you guys share it on there. I think that would be a huge opportunity for people to kind of see you guys. They don't charge for sharing you on there. They just hope that they're really primarily focused on true allies of the queer community or true queer vendors or artists or things like that, and promoting them and showing kind of what all they can do. And what all we represent, and the fact that there are so many of us out there that are owning businesses or that are performing, and that are, advocates, true advocates for the community. And I think that's a big space that, especially in our area in Arkansas, is needing to grow. Rosie O'Donnell is too angry for my taste. She's lost focus on reality. I haven't seen Rosie O'Donnell in forever.
No, me either. I almost forgot who she was.
I'm just trying to think of like somebody who I think, aside from an insider or a king, that Hugo Girl was one of my other favorite drag kings, who has since lately retired from the drag community, but still is very involved in queer event organizing and stuff. I think they're over in New Zealand. But that's the thing is we look at like the United States, but it's everywhere. Like these art forms, these things that are growing, these struggles are everywhere.
Yeah, I was watching Drag SOS the other day, and that's a UK version of We're Here, basically. And where they just go and find a person.
What's it called?
Drag SOS.
Oh.
Yeah, it's on Peacock, I think. So, but it wasn't bad. But since I'm a fan of We're Here, and then it's an American show, and then I see that, I was like, I watched half of the first episode. I was like, I think I'm good.
See, that's the thing is just like when there's shows, I know there's all kinds of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, but when there's shows that truly seem genuine at the like heart of it, for the most part, I think that's really like one of the queer shows that has really revolutionized, at least within the past since they've started, is Queer Eye. I am so fascinated with the things that they're able to do, and of course they've admitted in interviews and things like that it's still a struggle, but the amount of stuff that when people at the end of something are able to say like, I have truly grown and I truly feel like I've changed who I am for the better, or I've gotten back to a better place in my life. Right. And you're like, if they can do that on a TV show, and we did this in our daily lives without having to be influenced by a TV show, could you imagine where a lot of us would be?
Right.
Exactly.
And I think that, shows like this are a huge example and platform for what can be done. And I know we're simply having a conversation here, but I'm hoping that our conversations are either educating or touching people all over, or encouraging them to get out and be advocates, and encouraging them to expand their
who
minds.
They are and be proud of who they are, and not give a rep of what people think of them or see them as, or
For sure.
Yeah, totally. So it has came to the end of the show. God, it flew by so quick, but that means it's an awesome show.
It's the end of the show, y'all.
Yeah, yes.
That's all.
I'm going to put you in the back.
Okay,
Don't go nowhere. But
See you guys next week
All right.
in full makeup.
And I will talk to you second. So there you have it, Mr. Ace O Hearts. And you got to check him out next Thursday because it's another part of his life story. I'm so excited. I wonder what he's going to talk about. I already know. So I hope you have enjoyed the show. Enjoyed the show. And I hope you're back next Thursday. Thank you, Chanel. Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Chanel says she
Chip.
wants to be with Ace. He's her new hero.
Oh, Chanel says, I want to be with Ace. LOL. He is my new hero. Oh, well, that is so adorable. And I can understand because I think he's a lot of people's heroes. And I think a lot of him because of who he is and what he is doing today, next week, and the week after that. And that is changing a lot of people's lives and lifting them up and giving them something to live for instead of not wanting to live. So my closing is, if you do have a child and they are who they are and they come out to you, don't push them away. Welcome them with open arms. Try to understand where they're coming from. If you don't understand, watch something on TV. Look up stuff on the internet. Talk to a therapist. Reach out to
yourself. Is that what you're saying?
Educate yourself with maybe another lesbian or homosexual or transgender or, whoever, however they are. Don't push them away because you don't understand. That's not right. They're your child. You're supposed to be there 100%. Don't push them away because you may be the one killing them. That's why a lot of children nowadays are killing themselves because they feel like they're living the wrong life. They're hated upon. They're being judged. They're being pushed away. They're being walked on, spit on, shit on. You name it. That's what you're doing to them by pushing them away. Letting them live, making them live on the streets. You don't understand because you're not being pushed away. You're pushing them away. So look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, would you like it if your child pushed you away, started hating on you, judging on you? You wouldn't. So think about it before you do anything of the sorts to anybody, no matter who they are, how they are. It's none of your business. Accept them for who they are. And don't push them away at whatsoever. If you are a hater, you are the one hating. And if you are a judgmental person, you are the one judging. So before you do that, look at yourself and tell yourself that before you open your mouth and treat somebody like shit.
And instead of treating someone like crap, you should choose to be a rainbow in somebody's
Exactly.
life.
Be a rainbow in somebody's life and help somebody else be a rainbow in their life.
We'll see you later.
So I will see you next Thursday. Peace, much love, and I hope you have a wonderful week because I can't wait to see you and have you see me and Mr. Ace of Hearts and my hubby, my lovely hubby right here. We'll be here.
Thank you for
next
joining
Thursday.
us, guys. Join us next week. You'll see some more.
Love
Ace of
you.
Hearts.
Thank you for joining T. Roy and a special guest here on Everythin Yet Nothin. Tune in next Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central for another episode you won't want to miss. Until next time, be a rainbow in someone's life. Like and follow us on Facebook at WLFE DB Radio.
Can you believe that it's already over? Oh,
bye.
Bye, everybody.